adjustments.
Well, let's jump right into why the 100 ASINs is
Okay,
significant.
so that is a number that we talk about all the time. Why do we say that number?
Well, we talk about, build your book of business, build your book of business to 100 ASINs.
Mhm.
Okay, you don't need 100 ASINs for a 5-figure business. If you just, I'm not going
Right.
to do the math on camera.
No, we get in
But
trouble
we
every
speak
time we
from
do that.
experience. You don't need 100 ASINs to have a 5-figure business.
Right.
Okay, but you do typically need 100 ASINs to have a consistent 5-figure business.
Mhm.
Why is this?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not probably going to have 100 ASINs active at a time in a $10,000 a month business,
Mhm.
right? If I do, my business is going to be much bigger than that. So that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But this goal is a $10,000 a month in sales regularly. So if I have 100 ASINs and I only need, maybe I need 60 to make that $10,000. It depends on your sales, average sales price and different things. But maybe I need 60 to actually come up with the $10,000 a month in sales.
Right. Well,
So, okay, so you have some typicals for how you shop for that. Tell me about that.
Well, so if I only had 30 ASINs on my list and I was able to go shopping for all of them and get everything that I wanted, I can probably have a 5-figure business. But what happens when you go shopping?
Oh, things are out of stock.
Yeah, things
I
are out
can't
of
get
stock.
everything I want.
You can't get as much as you
Expiration dates are
want.
bad.
Dates are bad.
Yeah.
Your order gets canceled. There are any number of reasons that if you only had 30 on your list, that it's going to be hard to maintain that 5 figures. If everything lines up perfectly and you were able to go shopping for everything that you needed for the entire month, then yes, you can probably make that happen.
Right. But that's not reality.
The reality is that your products are going to come and go. You're not going to be able to get as much as you thought or as much as you wanted.
Right.
And so we like to have 100 because we're usually only shopping for a third to a half of them maximum at any given time.
And this is what we do with our shoppers. When we have our shoppers go out, we give them more than we want them to buy, and we're working on spending goals. Right.
Yes,
so we say you have this much money we need you to spend. Here are the ASINs in order that we want you to buy for, and how many of each. Keep going down the list until you run out of money. Because some of those you're not going to get any of. Some of them you need 8, but you're only going to get 2. You're going to run into these things. So that's why we have more ASINs on that list than we need to shop for every week.
Right. So you're going to have a foundation of ASINs, which means you're not going to run out when you're going shopping to maintain that 5 figures. Now,
or if an order gets canceled, you have some place to go from there.
All the while you are continuing to add, you're continuing to do your 5 tests a week, and you're adding items to your replens list as you're going. So that 100 turns into 120, turns into 180, turns into...
And that $10,000 a month turns into 15,000, 20,000,
exactly,
and 30,000.
Yeah.
Fairly quickly after that $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
That is a number that we see. Once you get there, you really have built enough experience and enough understanding of what you're doing and enough efficiencies really to be able to pretty much decide how much you'd like to have and make that happen.
Yep.
You'll be able to see that at around $10,000 a month in sales. Now, the other thing it does, besides not being able to maybe get everything that you wanted to shop for, it helps you have some place to go with the fluidity of how well each ASIN is doing over time, right? So it helps you look and say, well, oh, this one has risen to the top. I'd like to shop for that one this week, where it wasn't really a good ASIN for the last few weeks. Or this one's kind of fallen down, must be in a sale or something that a lot of people came on and the price is low a little bit right now. Let's not shop for that one for a couple of weeks and put some other ones in that. So if you have more than you need, it helps with that fluidity that you'll have and keep that predictability that you're looking for. Right.
The most important thing that I like about 100 ASINs is that it's proof that this whole thing is just a numbers game. If you can find 1, you can find 10. Actually, find 1, find 5.
Right.
Okay.
Then find 5 more.
Then find 5, and then find 5. And eventually you will have found 100. And then eventually you have found 1,000. And then maybe someday you can have 6,000 like Kang Dang on the podcast. Which, right?
Yeah.
I hope that blew a lot of people's minds when he dropped that number on there, because it reminded me of when I was sitting front row for Jimmy Smith in 2019 at the Proven Conference. And somebody asked him, how many ASINs did he have? And he said 800. And I almost just quit and walked out right then because I was like, 800.
Sounds like an awful lot of work, right?
Yeah, at the time, I think we had like 50 ASINs. And so 800 was like.
That was before it was me, man. It was my fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't a we then. It was just you.
And I remember coming home and telling Robin, like, yeah, Jimmy's got 800, but yeah, we're probably just, let's just do like 100. I can't imagine ever having 800. And, you know, we've got several thousand today. King's got 6,000 ASINs. Okay. So if you've got 6,000 ASINs at any point in time that you want, you can analyze that list and find profitable inventory to send in. And it's inventory that you've already tested. So, you know, the brand is correct. Unless it theoretically, unless the image, unless the thing got changed, but you know, you've tested it. You've analyzed the ASIN already. You've looked at the Keepa chart.
You've built in systems to keep checking on those things and know what's going on right now.
So you've got a level of trust in that ASIN. I've sold it before. I can sell it again. And all I need to do is filter my list for what's profitable at this moment in time.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up about the 800 ASINs that you heard Jimmy say. And then I remember going to our coach and saying, yeah, that I don't think that's that many. And she pretty much said, you know, don't whine to me because you have a $12,000 a month business, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people would like to have that. So we learned something there. But what we found was we kept building, and then we got to 200, and then we got to 500, and we got to 800 and 1,000, and then a couple of thousand. And what we found was the ability to do that comes with the doing of that. So we didn't have to understand how you could manage that when we were doing 50, 100 ASINs. We did understand it by the time we were doing 800 ASINs. We understood because that experience helped us manage that.
Well, we were also in that spot where it's like, I can remember talking to my coach saying, okay, every waking hour is either day job or this business.
And it pretty much was for you.
Yeah, it was for me. How are we going to scale this? And you know what? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
And that is exactly the time that we started outsourcing.
Yes.
Right?
An opportunity came to us that we weren't looking for. And it was something that was very comfortable for us to do, that we had no idea that would come to us. And those things start happening as you get to the point where you need them to happen. So don't worry about what the future has.
Yeah. Don't solve that problem right now. Solve the problem when it needs to be solved.
Because you know the best way to get your first 100 ASINs, 5 tests this week, 5 tests next week, 5 tests the next week. Within 6 months, that's going to turn into 100 replenishable ASINs.
Right. So when it comes to thinking about that intense, focused effort time, don't feel like you need to go get 100 ASINs in the first 2 weeks. That's really not the way it works. It can work that way after you've got some experience. But for now, we want to have a measured approach to this. Yes.
We want to make
somewhat
small. We're going to make our mistakes on small quantities in small items so that they don't hurt so bad, because we don't have a balance yet until we build that foundation to fall back on if something goes wrong with one of them.
And you're talking about small items or about small quantities?
Yes, small quantities.
Yes. Okay. Right. So it's can be challenging enough when you're just getting started to do 5 tests a week. So once you find that rhythm, 5 tests a week, all it takes is 6 months, and then you will have your 100 ASINs. That's what it's all about.
Find that consistency. That's the important part.
Yep.